every shadow has a source of light. But sometimes, the light hides behind the truth we refuse to see. I used to think the world was made of facts, of what I could touch and prove. Yet beneath the surface of everything, the cold steel of buildings, the hurried pace of passing strangers, the hollow echo in an empty room, I began to sense something else. A silence, whispering that not all truths are seen with the eyes. They are felt, like a change in the air just before a storm, or a memory stirring in the quiet of the night. It started as a subtle hum, a vibration just beneath the rhythm of my own heart. A feeling that this world, so solid and real, was only a single layer of a much deeper story. I walked through streets that felt both familiar and alien, like returning to a childhood home that no longer recognized me. The world was a stage, and everyone seemed to know their lines, their purpose. But I had forgotten mine. I was searching for a missing page in a script I never knew I was following. This relentless hum grew louder, pulling at the seams of my reality. It wasn't a sound from the outside, but a call from within. A quiet insistence that what I was seeing wasn't the whole picture. I began to question everything I once held as certain, not out of doubt, but out of a desperate need to find what was real. This journey didn't begin with a map. It began with a single, unsettling question. If the world I see is a reflection, what is the source of the light? We live inside reflections of our own design. The screens that glow in our hands, the curated smiles in photographs, the constant hum of manufactured noise, they tell us who to be, what to want, how to feel. They offer a comforting illusion of connection, a sense of belonging in a world that feels increasingly fragmented. We mistake movement for meaning, likes for love, and connection for true understanding. I looked at others and saw only fragments of myself, projections of my own hopes and insecurities. In their hurried glances, I saw my own impatience. In their laughter, I heard the echo of my own loneliness. We are masters of disguise, not just for others, but for ourselves. We build these intricate worlds, these digital and social fortresses, to keep something at bay. What are we so afraid of? The silence, the emptiness, or the quiet, nagging feeling that we are performing a role we never auditioned for? Illusion comforts us because the truth often hurts. It is easier to wear a smile to hide the quiet ache beneath than to admit the mask has become fused to our skin. I was surrounded by people, yet I had never felt more alone. Each face was a mirror reflecting a life I was supposed to want, a happiness I was told to pursue. But the more I looked, the more distorted the image became. The laughter sounded hollow, the celebrations felt frantic. It was a carnival of ghosts, and I was one of them, dancing to a silent, sorrowful tune. We busy ourselves with the trivial to avoid the profound. We scroll through endless feeds, desperate to feel something, anything, other than the vast emptiness that waits for us when the screens go dark. It's a beautiful, intricate lie we tell ourselves every single day. And for a long time, I believed it. When the world grows too loud, silence becomes a mirror. It doesn't shout or demand, it simply waits. In the stillness of a late night, when the city finally holds its breath, every memory returns. Every unspoken word, every path not taken, every forgotten dream comes flooding back, not with judgment, but with a quiet, heartbreaking clarity. You can run from the noise of the world, but you can never outrun the silence within your own mind. It is there that the real conversations happen. It is there that the truth, raw and unedited, resides. I would sit by the window, watching the rain trace intricate patterns on the glass, each drop a tiny messenger from a world I couldn't touch. The rhythmic patter was the only sound, a gentle percussion to the theater of my thoughts. I realized I wasn't afraid of being alone. I was afraid of meeting the person I had become in the quiet moments. The person who had compromised, who had settled, who had let the fire dim to a faint ember. In the silence, there are no excuses. There are no distractions. There is only you and echoes of your choices. Every ghost of your past selves gathers in that room. The hopeful child, the reckless teenager, the ambitious young adult, they all look at you. And in their silent gaze, you see the distance between who you were and who you are now. This silence isn't empty, it's full. It's full of everything we push away during the day. It's the repository of our deepest truths. And facing it is the most terrifying and most necessary act of courage. It is the beginning of coming home to yourself. The mirror never lies. It doesn't flatter, it doesn't deceive. It shows not what we want to see, but what is. Standing before it in a dimly lit room, the world outside fell away. There was only my reflection and the suffocating weight of my own gaze. For years, I had only glanced at this person, this stranger staring back. I checked for flaws, adjust my hair, straighten my collar, a superficial maintenance of the character I played. But now, I truly looked. And my reflection began to move on its own. A subtle shift, a flicker of an expression that wasn't mine. It was my shadow self, the part of me I had disowned and locked away. I saw my fears, my failures, my insecurities, my masks all staring back at me, not as monsters, but as lost children. I saw the anger I had swallowed, the grief I had buried, the love I was too afraid to give. And yet, behind them, behind all that pain and brokenness, I saw someone else. Someone waiting, patient, wounded, but undeniably real. It was the core of me, the unshakable essence that had weathered every storm. My reflection reached out, not to pull me in, but to offer a hand. The glass between us began to crack, not with a violent shatter, but with a quiet, resigned sigh. And through those fissures, a soft, golden light began to seep, illuminating the darkness I had held for so long. Truth doesn't destroy us. It frees us from the exhausting, lifelong burden of pretending. It's in facing the reflection and acknowledging the shadow that we finally allow the light to find its way in. It is the moment you stop fighting the person in the mirror and finally embrace them as your own. When you stop running from yourself, the world becomes still. The frantic chase for validation, for meaning, for something more, finally ceases. And in that stillness, truth whispers. It doesn't arrive like a thunderclap or a blinding revelation. It comes gently, like the first light of dawn touching the horizon. It says, "You are not broken. You are becoming." Every shadow you feared was simply showing you where the light wanted to enter. Every mistake was a lesson. Every heartbreak was an opening. I walked out into the vast, open expanse of nature, and for the first time, I felt like I belonged. The mountains didn't judge my weakness, they mirrored my strength. The ocean didn't mock my tears, it reflected my depth. The vast, open sky didn't highlight my smallness, it revealed my infinite potential. The truth was never about finding a grand, cosmic answer. It was about acceptance. Accepting the messy, beautiful, contradictory nature of being human. Accepting the light and the dark, the joy and the sorrow, not as opposing forces, but as two parts of a whole. To live under the shadow of truth is to live in clarity. Not perfect, not certain, but real. It's the feeling of your feet planted firmly on the earth, the sun on your face, and the quiet confidence that no matter what comes, you are whole. You are enough. The awakening isn't about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who you have been all along, beneath all the layers you piled on top. It's the gentle, profound relief of finally coming home. We search for truth in the stars, in ancient texts, in the eyes of others, in stories told around a fire. We climb mountains and cross oceans, convinced that the answer lies somewhere out there, hidden in a secret place, waiting to be discovered. But perhaps that has always been the greatest illusion. Perhaps truth was never a destination to be reached. It was always here in the quiet rhythm of our own breath, and the silent space between our thoughts, and the steady, resilient beat of our own heart. It was always waiting patiently, beneath the shadow of who we are.